Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another amazing Beasts of the Mesozoic figure to take a look at, and this time we have a special edition version as we have one of the Kickstarter exclusive Tyrannosaurus Rex figures. This is 1/35th scale, and it is the version based on the Walking with Dinosaurs paint scheme. So that is super cool to have that version here and already so early to take a look at, as these haven't begun shipping quite yet because David Silva was an absolute champ and sent this over to me a little bit early so that we can kind of hype you guys up for the release of the Tyrannosaur series Wave 1 and get a look at this. And this is definitely one of my most anticipated figures overall because I am a gigantic fan of Walking with Dinosaurs, so to have a Tyrannosaurus based on the Walking with Dinosaurs paint scheme is super cool, and you can really see again some fantastic imagery here on the front of the box. Also, again, like I said, a special version, you could see that the artwork is a bit different than what you would see, or at least the box presentation is a bit different compared to what you would normally see for a Beasts of the Mesozoic release, which I really love. But that artwork is fantastic. And then here on the side, again, Beasts of the Mesozoic, and we've also got another image of the Rex, Tyrannosaurus dinosaur action figure. Over here, we basically just have some vegetation as well as the similar, words right there that we just saw on the opposing side, and a sneak peek here of the window area. And then here on the back, again, you can see that we have this really nice image of the T-Rex right there, as well as some information on it over here, and a sneak peek with some really nice images of all of the other figures that are in Wave 1, one of which we had just taken a look at, or at least the 1/18th scale version of this particular color scheme we have just taken a look at. We also have the Dilong, the Juvenile Rex, the Guanlong, and the Utyrannus as well. And again, we also have the Kickstarter exclusive version of the 1/18th scale Rex, which of course I will be reviewing in the future as well. And I love the collect them all. It's just so awesome. Just love seeing that kind of stuff because it just takes me back to when I was a kid collecting dinosaur toys and stuff for, like, the Jurassic Park toy line, or definitely dinosaurs, stuff like that. Unfortunately, I never had the pleasure of collecting the Walking with Dinosaurs figures when I was younger because they never came here to the United States, as far as I know anyway. Another thing that I really do like about this box is that the Beasts of the Mesozoic logo up here is kind of presented in a way that would be similar to the BBC logo, which obviously is where we would have seen the Walking with Dinosaurs series, so that's definitely really cool as well. But as we again pull out here from the slip cover, we remove that, we can, on the back, take a look at, again, images of the figures that are coming from Wave 1, all of which look really cool. I like that they're in different poses and stuff, just showing the different display options that you have for the different amazing figures in this series. I cannot wait for that Utyrannus. I can't wait for all of them, honestly, but that Utyrannus just looks amazing. And then we again have some information down here on the actual figure itself. And if we turn it around to the front, you can again see that we just basically now have the same type of box art, but with an open window. So rather than the artwork we had just seen, we actually have the figure here in the window area. But it's just like the glare is just annihilating it right now. We can't really see it too well. So what we're going to do is pop this out of the box and check it out from there. So the first thing that we have, of course, is the card, again showing off that beautiful artwork that we had just seen on the front of the box with that gorgeous Walking with Dinosaurs style T-Rex right there, and the Beasts of the Mesozoic logo. And then here on the back, again, a little dino toy photography, as well as some information on the figure itself, as well as the art is by Raul Ramos, who we actually have reviewed figures of here on the channel as well in the past. And then you've got the assembly instructions, which, as I say, every single review for a Beasts of the Mesozoic figure is very important. Make sure you read this, make sure you follow the instructions so your figure can go together and stay in one piece rather than breaking. It's very important to follow those instructions. Then we've got a whole bunch of feet here because we've got alternate feet for the T-Rex. We also have some alternate legs for the T-Rex, which, just like you saw in the 1/18th scale Rex review, again, you have the opportunity to kind of replace the legs that are on the Rex currently with these legs, which include more articulation, and then you can swap out the feet on those legs for those feet. And then you also have the base, again, something that I absolutely love because I really enjoy including bases and stuff with my dinosaur figures. And then, of course, our main event, which is the Tyrannosaurus Rex with the Walking with Dinosaurs coloration on it, and it is absolutely beautiful, just like I expected. Definitely a really cool color choice to go with for this particular, again, Kickstarter exclusive, and you can straight away see it stands really nicely. I have yet to have any balancing problems with any of my Tyrannosaurs, and this is now my third T-Rex from the Tyrannosaur series here from Beasts of the Mesozoic, as I have the original Gray Rex, I've also got the 1/18th scale Rex, and now I have this version, and I will also have the 1/35th scale version of the mainline version, as well as the 1/18th scale version of the kind of Dino Riders, again, Kickstarter exclusive. So I'm going to have quite the T-Rex family when it's all said and done here, but again, David really has done a phenomenal job of bringing this Rex to life with those Walking with Dinosaurs colors, just so nostalgic, really, again, tugging on my heartstrings as far as this one goes. So let's jump to a closer look at this beauty right now. So, seeing as this is now our third review, technically, of this sculpt, we don't need to go over the sculpt again, as we've already done that in the initial Gray Rex review. So if you want to see a more detailed review of the actual sculpt itself, make sure you check out the original review of this. I will include a link in the description for that, as well as at the end of the video. Definitely worth checking out. And again, I can tell you with confidence that the sculpt is incredible. But on top of that, what we need to take a look at is anything that differentiates this from previous releases, which of course is the coloration. So you can see that we have a very, very nice dark brown tone for the majority of the face of the Rex, and the majority of the body, actually. But you have this nice kind of a light brown here that kind of is dry brushed really nicely along the jawline, and you can see how beautiful those scales pop. Like, that is absolutely perfectly applied to look very realistic and very clean and natural, and they definitely did a great job there. You can also see that we have this kind of tannish color up here as well that runs up and over the eyes, as well as down here in the eye socket area, and that's been given a nice dark wash so that every ounce of detail in that area is highlighted beautifully and very realistically as well. You can also see how nice of a job they've done as far as like dry brushing some of that scale detail there out leading up into that area, and also nicely dry brushing the detailing there around the eye out with all the wrinkles and everything. You've got a nice reddish brown coloration for the eye, nice black pupil, as well as a gorgeous gloss coat in there, making it shine very realistically. And then of course we have an articulated jaw for our Rex, and you can see a really nice naturalistic tone of color with like a nice reddish tone in there. You can see a nice gloss coat, also some slight color variation I'm kind of picking up on in there. The teeth are all sculpted individually, so you can see how impressive the actual paintwork is for the teeth when each and every tooth is painted so beautifully. Same deal for the lower jaw here, which also shows again how nice and impressive the sculpt and detail is, as well as the paintwork is. We do have an articulated tongue in there, though it's pretty small. You can see my finger going in the mouth. We can't really get in there too well to articulate the tongue, but it does articulate, and that is one extra added area of articulation on this. You can see how nice that articulated jaw works as well. Sits exactly where you want it every single time. As you move back here a little bit further into the body, you continue to have that really nice brown tone, that very dark brown. However, I can also see some slight kind of like blacks, as well as almost like a reddish wash here. So there is some nice color variation to the figure, but it's really, really subtle. The majority of the color is like very dark tones, which I absolutely love. But again, also nicely replicates the Walking with Dinosaurs style Rex. As you lead down, you have like some yellowish browns picking up here, and they stripe along. Like, they start out kind of small, and then they of course become a pretty big striping here, and they decrease in size as we lead back to the hip region. So some really cool kind of flashy coloration up here on the top. But as we lead down here to the side, we continue to again have those nice mixtures of various dark browns, which look really cool. And I feel like you can't really appreciate all the variation of color that's actually applied to this until you actually have it in a nice light, because now that I have it in the light kind of shining on it here in person, I'm actually picking up on quite a bit of variation of color with different tones of browns and blacks on this one. As you lead down, we continue to have that same coloration here in the arm, but we have some nice light brown nails for the hands, and you can see they also sport a gloss coat to them. As we move down here, I like how we have that kind of darker tone that just sort of spots along the lower part of the stomach before we transition down into the stomach region. We also have kind of like an orangish brown here that runs along the lower part of that area of the darker tone before leading into the stomach region, and we have a nice light tone down here for the underside. Nice dry brushing they've applied, kind of like a nice light dry brushing over a very light brown to highlight that detail beautifully. And of course we also have that classic red throat for our T-Rex here, something again that is almost a trademark, I would say, of the Walking with Dinosaurs T-Rex. As you move back here, you continue to have, again, those dark variations of color. Same style of paintwork where we have the kind of brown that almost looks like it's the brown breaking up into little pieces running along the edge of the, again, transition between the brown and the light tone. And we also, again, have that kind of like orangish or reddish brown running down the course of that area. And then you have that really nice looking foot sculpt. And we have more of kind of like a light brown striping as we lead down into the foot sculpt. Again, those very nice reddish brown nails there, also sporting that gloss coat. Of course, we have the dew claws painted and everything. And then as we lead up here, we kind of have like a jagged sort of appearance. As we move out the length of the tail, we follow again that darker tone, well, the various darker tones, as well as that kind of orangish brown or reddish brown that runs along and follows along that area, as well as again the light tone. And you can really see how nice the dry brushing of that light tone highlights the detail moving along. And then as we reach out here to the tip, you can see that the entire tip of the tail is overtaken with that dark tone. So absolutely beautiful. You can see again the opposing side is going to look pretty much the same, no real big difference. The Walking with Dinosaurs T-Rex wasn't super colorful. Obviously, you can see it is super nicely done, extremely lifelike paint application and very precise. And again, consistent paint application on this side in comparison to what we had just seen on the initial side. And then we've also got our base, and the base actually looks a bit different compared to the other one. The other one had a lot for the 1/18th scale Rex. That one had a lot like lighter tones and stuff for it, whereas this time we have some very dark grays and an even darker gray kind of wash. Definitely some variation, as I can see a few kind of like lighter grays showing up here and there, so there is some variation of color. And you can also see that the vegetation here has that nice green, but I can also see a darker green within that, as well as kind of a darker wash. And then you also have some nice light browns for those kind of vines and stuff. So very nice. I actually think I prefer the paintwork of this base over the 1/20th scale base. I just really like the tones of color and everything and actual paintwork applied to this base. Same base as far as the overall design, I believe, but just different coloration, and obviously at a much smaller size. And then again, we have the alternate legs here, which are, of course, painted exactly the same way as the legs that we had just seen on our actual Rex. But these legs, you can see, are much more articulated, as you have an area here and here in the ankle, again, to swivel and articulate the foot into whatever position you would like. And, of course, to continue to help provide you with more posability, you have the alternate feet, which all are, again, painted just like the other feet are on this release. And again, we have those nicely painted nails, and this time you have, again, like a flat foot version, but the toes are closer together. And then you also have the kind of like toes leaving the ground, sort of a walking type of a position for the other foot. Again, you have a set of feet for both of those poses. Definitely an amazing release, and I'm really loving all of these Tyrannosaur series figures. Definitely hyped to have yet another one now in my collection, especially a Walking with Dinosaurs version. And then as far as our articulation goes, again, we have the articulated jaw. We also have the articulation of the tongue on the inside of the mouth. You've then got a joint right here to kind of turn the head a little bit, as well as a joint down here at the bottom of the neck, which allows you to turn the head of your Rex really quite nicely, give it some nice posability and stuff, and different ways to display your Rex. You also have the articulation in the shoulder as well as the elbow. You also have the articulation here in the midsection. A little bit of posability in that area as well. Not too stiff, I guess. It's working a little bit. You also have the articulation in the hip right here, as well as the knee, which is a little stiff. Again, I'm trying not to force these because it's straight out of the package, which is how I always review it, so I get my, first impressions on camera and, again, give you my honest feelings straight away as far as my, again, initial thoughts on it. But we also have the alternate leg, which if we pull one of these legs off, it's a little tricky sometimes to get them off. Oh boy. Well, let me pull it out of frame here for just a moment to pull that leg off. There we go. We got the leg off, and then we have to grab the leg that goes on this side, and we'll pop that one in. There we go. So now we have extra articulation because we've got, again, the knee, which is super stiff. Definitely got to warm that one up. But you also have articulation down here to give you that extra bit of articulation, as we've got 2 spots right here to allow even more posability. And then you also have a spot right here and here and here, so you can give the tail some nice curves and stuff, and some nice posability as far as that goes. And of course they can go up and they can also go down to give you even more posability for your Rex. As far as a size goes, for a length, you were looking at, if I can keep it still, you were looking at about the 14.5-inch range, or around 36.5, closing in on 37 centimeters. And then actually for a height, I think I'm going to put it on the base, because that would give us an accurate height as far as, how you would probably want to display it. So it's actually up off of the base just slightly. I don't have the foot all the way in, but we'll give it a height anyway from that point. So about 6 inches, or a little over 15, closing in on 15.5 centimeters. And of course, the height also depends on you and the way that you position it, because you can have it positioned in all sorts of ways, down, up, high. It's up to you. So the height isn't exact. That's really, again, on you as far as how you want to pose it. But as far as a size comparison goes, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, next to our Walking with Dinosaurs 1/35th scale Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur series T-Rex. And you can definitely see that it's pretty much the exact size range you would expect it to be for a 1/35th scale release. Definitely not super huge, very convenient size. And again, it's cool to have options when buying one of these Tyrannosaurs. Although the Walking with Dinosaurs color scheme only comes in 1/35th scale, you, of course, if you prefer larger ones, can go with the larger Dino Riders 1/18th scale version, or the more mainline paint scheme that we recently reviewed here on the channel. But again, pretty much exactly as I expected as far as a size. And then for another comparison, although I wouldn't really say it's a size comparison because they are the exact same scale, as they're both 1/35th scale, but we have my Prehistoric Planet repaint of the T-Rex next to the Walking with Dinosaurs version. So we basically have like the 2 most iconic documentary Tyrannosaurs, I think, out there. And that's pretty cool. I'm actually really happy that I had painted mine with the Prehistoric Planet paint scheme. Just to have it here next to the Walking with Dinosaurs one is really cool. But there were like different Tyrannosaur comparisons and stuff I had done in the Grey Rex review. So if you want to see more comparisons like that, check out that review. Again, I had a whole bunch of comparisons in that video. But there's one comparison I wasn't able to do in that video that I definitely want to do in this one, and that would be the 1/18th scale T-Rex next to the 1/35th. And this obviously shows you what the sizes of both would be, and you can clearly see a pretty massive difference in size. So again, even though the Walking with Dinosaurs paint scheme is exclusive to this version and was exclusive to the Kickstarter, I don't think you can order this one anymore. The Dino Riders version, actually, for the 1/18th scale, went up recently on Big Bad Toy Store to pre-order, but I don't think this one did, so this one might be entirely gone. I'll have to look into that, and if there is a possibility of purchasing this one still, I'll include a link in the description to do that, but I will also include a link just to the Tyrannosaur pre-orders regardless. But again, you have the opportunity to own the Tyrannosaur Sculpt in different sizes, as you have 1/35th and 1/18th, and you can clearly see, again, if you prefer huge figures, then the 1/18th scale version is definitely the way to go. But if you prefer more reasonable, kind of like more convenient, I should say, sized versions, something that, could sit nicely on a desktop without taking up a massive amount of room, then the 1/35th scale route would definitely be a great way to go. Or you can go the route that I did and buy both, because I love everything that they produce, and I love, of course, everything Tyrannosaurus. So I had to have different versions, especially different paint variants. I'm a huge fan of different paint variants of figures. So two really, really cool figures here. Honestly, two amazing figures, and it's neat to see the two of them now together, especially as far as the different sizes. So this brand new Creative Beast Studio Beasts of the Mesozoic 1/35th scale Walking with Dinosaurs style T-Rex is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I'm so happy to have this variant. I'm lucky to have acquired it in the Kickstarter when the Kickstarter was going on. It was one that I knew I instantly wanted because I'm a giant fan of Walking with Dinosaurs. I always have been, so to have one of these Tyrannosaurs with that paint scheme on it was definitely a must for me, and I'm really happy to actually have it now to add to my collection. Again, thanks to David sending it over a little bit early. I believe these are slated to ship potentially in December, so not far off, and hopefully everyone will again have the opportunity to have these in their collection in no time. But this one, again, like I said, was a must for me. Even if it was the 1/18th scale 1/35th, the size didn't matter. It was the fact that it was a Walking with Dinosaurs version that was really appealing to me, so I absolutely had to have this one. And sculpt-wise, of course, it's phenomenal. Now, this is the third review, actually, of this particular sculpt, because the Tyrannosaur comes in a few different variants, as we could obviously tell from this review, looking at the 1/18th and 1/35th together. But this one here, again, was, I believe, the Kickstarter exclusive, so it was a very limited run, and definitely a very nice run of this Rex. The, again, sculpt, as I said, is amazing, really highly detailed, but the paint job is what was the big difference in this one compared to other releases, and I think they nailed it as far as the coloration goes, and kind of recreating the Walking with Dinosaur style T-Rex with the Beasts of the Mesozoic flair. Really nice actual application of the paint. Everything is really smooth, really realistic. A lot of the coloration looks like it's just a brown, but when you get nice and close in a nice light, you can actually see a lot of variation of color to this, as you always find with the, Beasts of the Mesozoic line. They definitely put their all into the paint jobs, and it looks just as lifelike and just as gorgeous as every other Beast of the Mesozoic figure I've ever seen. They always, again, just go above and beyond to give you an incredible paint job on your figure, applying really nice washes, dry brushing, all sorts of painting techniques to make sure that the skin tone and everything looks really lifelike, but also the, again, sculpt is highlighted beautifully with the incredible paint job that they apply. And this looks, again, just as beautiful as the actual Walking with Dinosaurs T-Rex in the documentary does. So, again, like I said, I don't know if you can actually still purchase this one anymore. I think it was totally exclusive to the Kickstarter, so since the Kickstarter is over, it would definitely be no longer available. I will try to find out if there are any links I can provide you with to potentially grab one of these. I will do that in the description, but if not, you always have the other versions of the T-Rex that you can grab, again, as they are just as amazing as this Walking with Dinosaurs version. So again, thank you so much to David for sending this over a little bit early for me to get a review up and take a look at it with you guys. And make sure you check the link in the description to the Tyrannosaur pre-orders so you can go ahead and get yourself some of these amazing figures pre-ordered before they begin to ship. And make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.